Okay, a very good evening to you, my friends, family, well wishers, those of you who look forward to our program. Welcome once again. Today is it Juneteenth, Juneteenth in Miami, right? Juneteenth in the U.S. Dr. Richard, welcome. We're having a lot of noise in the background there for some reason.
Yeah.
Sounds
Thanks
very
for the invite.
huh?
Thanks for the invite.
Welcome, welcome. Last week, this time you were in Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah. Enjoying the mangoes and
Enjoying
salsa.
enjoying a good life in Puerto Rico.
Huh?
Enjoying the good life in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's amazing. We found almost everything that I've been missing.
Today you're in today you're in Georgia.
Yeah. Looking forward to going back to Puerto Rico.
Okay. Well, welcome back to Georgia. Sorry,
Thanks.
sorry about not being in Puerto Rico. I think the next time you go, I'll probably take a trip up there,
Yeah.
see what it's like. I went to Puerto Rico twice, I think.
It's good.
San Juan, I went to San Juan.
Hmm.
We had a conference there some time ago, a long time ago. And I always
Yeah.
said I'm gonna come back, but everything happened. Coronavirus came along and
Hmm.
wiped everything out. All the plans were changed. And coronavirus is back again, Dr. Richard,
That's what I'm hearing.
except it's a little different strain or something like that.
I don't know. I'm wondering where it was and where it's coming from this time.
Well,
You know.
those guys normally have some trick up their hat, up their sleeves.
Yeah.
Maybe it was being kept
Yeah.
to be
I mean,
released around this time. I don't know, but it's coming with a different act. It's not the same. The symptoms are not the same as it came with COVID-19.
mhm.
Are they going to call this COVID 25?
Is that what they're calling it?
I don't know. I mean, we're in 25 now, and COVID-19 was in 2019.
I wonder, because I'm thinking coronavirus never really left and went anywhere.
It didn't.
You know,
It didn't. It
it,
stayed. It
it,
was right where it,
it
it was right with us all the time. And we've always
right
said that the coronavirus is not going anywhere.
was
It's
there.
been here and it's here to stay. So I don't know what the big deal is. I said
There's no,
last week on the program that what we need to do as humans, I say humans because there are many persons who we're not sure what they are,
mm,
but as humans we need to focus on our immune systems
yeah,
because the only defense we have is the immune system, and unless we can understand that that's what we have to fight for us. We're not going anywhere, and that's not just for the virus. That's just for everything, pretty much.
yeah, yeah. Um, what I'm seeing too is a lot of the individuals who were somewhat compromised with the coronavirus first. I say first, but it never went anywhere. As you said, a lot of people still have the virus that was initially released or was initially present in their lungs. The spike protein is there; it's real, and before they're saying it was not real, but it is real, and it's serving to every person that I screen. Once they are positive for the coronavirus, when you go and you look at the weak systems, number six popped up, boom. So it's just serving to hold the immune system or make it weaker. making you susceptible to a lot of other stuff. You know, so I don't know what the purpose of that was, but a lot of people who had taken, the I don't know what to say. Can we say shot now, or I don't know?
I think it's safe to say shot because
Okay,
that was used even in the White House.
yeah, people who took the shot initially, they're a lot of them, they're not doing well.
And
You
some of
know,
them are not around anymore.
some are not around anymore. The person I saw, a lot of them I'm seeing, they're up to five. I think it was five different boosters. Well, maybe I think two shots and three boosters is what I'm seeing people. They're telling me that they've taken, and the the spike protein is very evident in the lung. I mean, even in the trachea, they have this dry cough that they're like, well, yeah, I do have a dry cough. How you know that? Yeah. Once I see the lung layered with the coronavirus and the trachea, most of them have dry coughs.
Yeah. Well, they're saying now that most of the persons who are having this new virus, it's not new, the new strain of the virus, it's coming with a razor-like action in their throat, in their trachea.
The soreness.
They feel like something is cutting them inside,
Oh wow.
and my feeling is that there's a dryness that's there,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow there's no moisture, not enough moisture that's present to help with this razor-like activity that is occurring.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's dry like that, people they're coughing. They're
Mm-hmm.
coughing because they're trying to to release what is there, as if something is trapped in there. And then there are others who are saying that they feel like they can't swallow, like there's a
Yeah.
blockage in the throat. And when you talk with these people, most of them would have had, proud to say, the shot plus the
Boosters.
boosters, and some are saying it's good. I'm glad I didn't take the booster, or I didn't take the booster. But I think it's only fair that some sort of an explanation be given to the people who would have been experiencing what is happening, so that they can understand what they're dealing with, and then we are having the battle of trying to find antidotes to negate the effects of whatever it is that is happening to these people. And sometimes it's very difficult because it's something that we're not sure what it is. We're seeing. The reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes when I screen these people or these persons, and you may have seen the same thing, it's a combination of things that are going on in that area.
So
Sometimes,
common. A lot of viruses,
yeah,
bacteria, a lot of
sometimes, right,
strains.
right. A lot of
Yeah.
activity like streptococcus pneumonia, bronchitis. Sometimes I see TB there, which is very
Yeah.
bad. You see pneumonia, bronchial pneumonia.
Yeah.
We see, sometimes I see Coxsackie virus,
Mm-hmm.
A22, I see that one. I see the rotavirus, I see the adenovirus. I mean, all of these things are right there. So,
Hepatitis C.
so what is happening? What is happening is that there's like a massive attack of different bacteria and viruses at the same spot, that's causing people to go through these scenarios that make them feel like they can't swallow, and like a razor is cutting their throats, and you know it's not easy, but what I'm saying to persons is that we have to work on your immune system, because when we look at the systems, it tells you the immune system is very weak,
Hmm.
and the weak systems are the immune systems, and I find that when we do work on that, some relief occurs, because now the body has ammunition to fight.
Hmm.
You know, for those persons who would have been who would have taken the shot, plus the all the boosters, they have more challenges, because now they have a host of other viruses that the body has to compete with to you know to help to stabilize itself. And if your cardiovascular system is not strong enough, then that becomes weakened too, because your bronchial system is already compromised, because you're coughing, 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 and then it's putting strain on your cardiovascular system. So it complicates matters, and persons have to be very careful. I think one of the factors that is important here in this process too, which I find works, is the facial steam. Where we have persons using the composition of oils to inhale the vapor through the nostrils down into the lung, you know, and exhaling back the same way. We find that helps tremendously. So that is part of the protocol that we use for persons to do the facial steam, so that the oils, the strength of the oils, helps to destroy the activity of the viruses and the bacteria. You know, then we would put them on the immune enhancers, and it works.
Yeah, a lot of them, a lot of patients that I'm seeing, um, they're having some problems with, and it never feels congestion.
Yeah,
Some of them are congested at night before they go to bed, and some are waking up with congestion. So facial steam is very important to help them, and I give them honey lip just for the cough. Or
yeah.
a lot of times they have a
Helps
cough.
with the lubricating.
Yeah. So you have a regimen for that situation, but sometimes it takes a lot of explanation, because people are like, "Well, I already wait a minute, explain to me, explain to me." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah, I had a lot
I
of
already
that
took the
today.
booster. I took this. I took that. I took that. You mean to tell me I still have coronavirus?"
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do. It never went. It never left. It never went away.
I
Never went
mean,
away.
yeah.
Now, I want to put
So
this word out there. If there's a person out there who has that kind of experience with the cough or the razor type of activity in your throat, difficulty breathing, you can call us and we can try to advise you as to what you can do. We did some of that last week. I took some calls last week, and tried to give some advice on different things. But I'm at the studio, so that you people will know that I'm on this. This is a live program at the studio, and the guys were able to, these smart operators were able to figure out what to do to have you come in. They were working on that for some time, and they finally were able to get it today, so that you could be on live while I'm in the studio. And if you can
that's good.
recall, that was one reason why I was not in the studio, because we couldn't have this live activity with you wherever you are, and I am in the studio in Georgetown, Guyana at the moment. So
That's
I want to congratulate the guys for their tedious work and efforts in trying to bring this thing together, which is like an awesome awesome situation. We are going like stateside now, where we can zap in a couple of people
Nice.
one person's at the studio and everyone else is around them. So it's growing and getting better. And I got to thank
Oh,
them for their continuous effort and the owner of the studio. We always trying to make it better. And soon enough, we're going to have live audience here, live studio audience. So there'll be persons in the studio who will be here and might be fortunate to get some goodies. We're talking about these things, the facial steam, and people probably saying, "What is facial steam?" Well,
you can
maybe
demonstrate.
they will have samples that will be here in the studio. So when that time comes, when they're in the studio, we'll have samples of the facial steam so they can experience it. You know, so the, the, the studio situation is going to be beneficial for many persons who will be fortunate to maybe get some of the new immune enhancers that we talk about, that we have at the clinic, some of this facial steam that we talk about here. So soon enough, soon enough, we'll have everything going here. And the
That's
guys
good.
advised me to send you something so you could see what we're talking about here. I'll send it to you now. I'm in the studio and you're wherever you are.
Oh, oh, that's what you were trying to do last week.
That's exactly what you were going to test last week. So
Oh yeah.
this is actually the first time it's being done, and
Oh,
the audience now, the television audience, can actually see both of us live, and they can call in, and I can put you on the spot so you could be the one that answers the questions.
oh, that sounds fun.
This was one reason why many of our colleagues were afraid to come live, because they were afraid of the questions. Believe it or not, believe it or
Well,
not. Yeah,
if you don't know something,
it's
just
okay to say I'm
speak.
not sure or I don't know. I'll
We,
get back to you. It's okay to do that, because we don't know what the questions will be, and we may not have all the answers. We're not programmed to have all the answers, but we know quite a bit, and we can advise, or we can get back to you and say, okay, just give me a couple of hours or a couple of days and let me do some more research on this or whatever. But for the most part, I've been doing this program now since 1996.
it's a
You can
long time.
calculate the years. This program has been on since '96, and I'm still here. And I used to be a doctor on call on the radio station, Guyana's radio station, doctor on call it used to be on a Wednesday night. Yeah. And I'd invite doctors to come with me and doctor on call, and they said, no, 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 I don't want to take that, no. No. But this is the doctor on call situation. It doesn't exist anymore, but they should do it again. It used to really help a lot of people all over the country, because the television the signal doesn't reach across the country, but the radio signal reaches across the country. And persons who were not able to see us on television were
Can
able
hear.
to were able to hear us on the radio. You
You
know,
know, at certain countries, the radio, audience, the radio is a lot more than the television.
whatever you move there, when you do it, it makes a lot of noise.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But the audience and the radio is a lot more
Oh
in
yeah,
some countries
definitely.
than,
It's a lot more. But
than the television.
now we have our program now on television, and it's online live. We're on YouTube right now live, and if persons tune into us, put in Dr. Joseph Haynes on YouTube, or Health and Wellness Center on YouTube, it should come up live right now as we speak. Just put in my name as you see it there, and it should come up live on YouTube. And it's also streamed on where? Something else. Is it Facebook or something? I don't know. It's streamed somewhere else. But so it's getting better and better all the time. It's growing, and it's going to be okay. Soon enough, we'll have, like I said, a live audience where persons are going to be in here, and uh, they can ask the questions and get the answers live. and the persons who are out there can see, this is the real deal. So, but last week, Dr. Richard, in your absence, I spoke about the chemicals and metals that are
Mm-hmm.
factors that contribute to brain disease. And I screened someone the other day who was having memory issues. And when I got to the section where we found the mycotoxins and microelements in their bodies, I just went to the brain. I
Oh,
got to the brain and I examined the brain with the chemicals and metals, and trust me, the level of lead was like 0.010, like 10.
wow. Lead toxicity. That person was
Mercury
shaking.
was
No?
0.009.
Yeah, you're in the area of that's
Metal
heavily toxic.
poisoning, heavy metal
Really,
poisoning, almost
really,
there, you know. So if you got all that mercury and lead in your brain, how can you remember anything? You have a very short memory. You have a very short recoil or recollection. You pick up your keys and you put it down and you can't remember where you put it,
Mhm.
and you just did
Yeah.
it, because you don't have proper transmission. Brain is under stress, and then you have arteriosclerosis.
Oh, you're not getting blood to the area. So it's neurotoxic, and lead especially. And I had somebody I saw. It's strange. Well, it's not so strange, but I thought it was. When I got to that particular contaminant, the area, when I checked, my goodness, mercury toxicity, mercury, heavily, and this was a woman, and I was saying to her, I see this a lot in people who are miners of gold, and she said, I used to be a miner. Like what? Poor woman.
Yeah,
She was in the 80s, it's late 70s. Uh, I said, man, this is mercury. She said, I used to burn the gold with mercury.
yeah.
And that stuff is still, it's just that stuff that's like 50 something years, that stuff is still in me. But yeah,
You never took it out.
exactly.
It's not going to come out on its own. You know.
My goodness. So, we can tell when we see certain things because just, we see it every day. Where, what the occupation might be
Yeah,
for the most,
yeah.
you know, people working with mercury is very, very, you know, evident and, and lead and these things. And they, some people are shaken and they classify them as
Right.
having Alzheimer's, but when you go and you check and you see um, there's toxicity of heavy metal,
And
you
then
know.
you've got the plant chemicals that are used like DDT and
Mm-hmm.
Kinmix and all those herbicides and pesticides, and you see loads of that. I see so much of it. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. There's an article that came out regarding regarding Guyana's ability to provide to feed its population. One of the only countries in the hemisphere that has the ability to take care of its population, food, right? Guyana is one of those. I think Guyana is pretty much the biggest one that can feed its own population. Okay? When I saw the article, I felt very good about it. But then what was alarming is that when we see what happens with the farming and all of the chemicals that are used to produce the foods that are feeding the nation, It's alarming. The foods, yes, we're producing the foods, but then we're also using heavy chemicals to keep away the insects and the pests from these foods. And people are consuming that because you can't wash it out. You cannot wash it out, it's in there. Right? For instance, in your callaloo and your pak choy and your cabbage, particularly cabbage. I spoke with farmers about cabbage, and you know what the average farmer is saying? That I don't eat the cabbage I plant to sell to the market.
Wow.
Yeah. Why? Why not? Right? Because they have to spray so many chemicals to remove whatever it is that is interfering with the plant itself, that it's chemicalized. Chemicalized.
But, I mean, where's the conscience, man? If I can't consume it, why am I going to give it to somebody else?
You think they care? They don't care about that. That's not important. That's not important. I took some callaloo from my garden. I talked about this last week. I mean, I'm in the States and I can travel with it anywhere in the States. I picked it in Florida. And I traveled an entire day in a plastic, it was in a Ziploc bag, getting to my destination. And when I got there and I opened that bag, it was as if I just picked it. Fresh as ever.
The food is alive.
You try that with something from the market, see what happens to it. When you get there, you'll wonder if it was 10 days old. It's watery, it's melt down, the color changes, it smells terrible. You know?
The food that they sell in the market, are they actually coming from farms that are in Guyana, or are they importing them?
For the most part, they're coming from farms in Guyana. I don't think we really import. If we do very little, the things that might be imported are things like broccoli and cauliflower and those kind of things. But when it comes to okra and bora, callaloo, pak choy, lettuce, tomatoes, belange, I don't think those are imported. They're grown right here, and they're consumed for the most part here. Some might be exported, but it's consumed here. But the chemicals that are put into those things, I think what they should do is have a segment or a section of the farms to provide the produce organic style without chemicals. Because if we can grow it in our gardens, I mean, the callaloo, the leaf of the callaloo was as big as my hand. That's how wide the leaf was.
Wow.
And this was grown without any fertilizer.
Did anybody next door to you spray?
If anybody next door spray?
Do they have gardens? Somebody?
No, nobody. They don't have that where I am. No. No. And this is grown in an enclosed area. It's a screened-in patio that I put the containers, the plant containers. I put them in. It's not in the ground. It's in the container. It's not in the ground. And it grows in the container without any chemical or any fertilizer.
So what soil are you using?
Organic soil. I purchased the organic soil from I think it was Home Depot or Lowe's, one of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. And it's rich, very rich soil, very rich. You know, so
Yeah.
I know for a fact that we can produce manure here. We have a lot of animals, a lot of cows, a lot of, we have pigs, we have a lot of chicken. So the farmers can actually dedicate areas for organic farming.
But is the animals healthy? Because sometimes I remember E. coli outbreaks, and they said it was from the people who were picking it and so forth.
Some of it from tomatoes, and I think some more from tomatoes.
Cucumbers and things like that.
We don't,
However,
we don't really have those. We don't really have those here hardly. Well, we don't. It's not. We don't see it as an outbreak, but we find it in people when we screen them.
Yeah.
We find a lot of E. coli and H. pylori and all of that in people. We find salmonella also, but those are bacteria that sometimes are created from persons' own doing, where they're not heating things properly, they're eating foods and leaving it, without being properly warmed up or heated up. You see, for instance, I spoke to many, and when I speak with them, then they realize the mistake they're making, right? You cooked the food this morning. Let's just say you cooked the food this morning, right? You made a nice pot of cook-up rice, okay? And you said, well, I'm going to eat some at lunchtime. So you leave it in the pot because it's fresh, and you dip it out, and it's still a little warm, and you eat it at lunchtime, okay? The cook-up is so good that you want to eat more dinner, right? So he says, well, I just cooked the food today, so it's no big deal. I didn't put it in the fridge yet, nothing. So you take it out, and you put it on the plate, and you don't warm it up, you don't heat it up. But that food, remember, you put onion inside, you put garlic inside, you put seasoning there. So it is developing its own bacteria without you realizing it. You see, so many persons are giving themselves the bacteria and they're not realizing it. So with education, what they should do, even though it's cooked the same day, you heat it up properly to make sure that you kill the bacteria. Heat it at a temperature where you feel for sure it'll kill the bacteria. Then you allow it to cool a little bit, and then you consume it, and then you're safer.
I know I've seen people with Bacillus cereus, which is coming from rice that is not reheated properly. Because they take the rice, make, like you said, cook up rice or some rice, and they go and they take it to lunch with them, but they don't reheat it,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. So they get Bacillus cereus, and then they get diarrhea for days sometimes, because of Bacillus cereus. So you're right, you got to reheat stuff, especially rice.
Yeah. You gotta heat
Yeah.
it enough to kill bacteria, and then cool it a little bit, and then consume it. So many of the bacterial conditions that occur are the mistakes that are being made in the home because they're not wise to what they need to do. So I encourage them to listen to the program, because we talk about these things on a regular basis, and you're going to learn something. You're going to learn something, even if you may have heard it before, but you will realize now when you listen that, oh, really, this is what happens to me. And then we have persons who feel they feel like they want to vomit or throw up. They want to they feel like they want to throw up. They get a nausea feeling, but they don't vomit. And they say, but why am I getting that? Why I feel like I want to throw up, but then when I try to throw up, I don't throw up? Well, when we screen them, we find salmonella.
Yeah.
We find the salmonella there. And salmonella has a very strange way of presenting itself in your body system. It makes you feel this nausea situation, but then you don't throw up. You try to vomit and you don't. But it's an
And you gotta
activity.
get.
It's a salmonella doing its thing in your body, and that again comes from the same situation.
Well, people, salmonella, a lot of times, people may well, but they go and they use the egg, for example, and on the outside of the egg, it's the fecal matter from the chicken and things like that, and they boil it, and they don't wash the egg or anything. They just put it in the pot and boil the egg, and they consume the egg. I mean, you can actually consume salmonella, from the chicken, lay
Well,
the egg, you can eat it. You can eat the chicken too, and get it.
what they do with the eggs, for the most part, they make them look like they're clean. When you see the egg in the tray, it looks clean. So they say, oh, it's already clean. You don't have to wash that. Just crack it, or they just put it in the pot and boil it, not knowing that they should also wash it. But they're afraid
Yeah,
sometimes, maybe, that when they try to wash it, it cracks in their hands.
yeah,
So it's a tough situation when you look at what happens to people, and how it happens, and the what they need to do to avoid it. But then it's kind of shaky, because they don't want to hold the egg, because they're afraid that it's an egg. They crack it easily. They don't want to waste it. So Yeah, but you got to protect yourself because it is expensive. It will cost you more than the cost of the eggs to get better when you get salmonella. So we
That's
find
right.
those bacteria in people, and then uh, we still have the situation where there are lots of STDs out there, and people don't realize that they have it. You know, they have these sexually transmitted diseases, and they don't know that they have it. You know, when we screen them, it shows up, and he says, "Well, how did I get that? You know, I didn't know I had it. I don't have any symptoms. I know that I'm having some pain or discomfort, but I don't have any discharge." Well, they all don't come with discharges. You know, some people have no symptoms. And then when they go to the labs, because of the parameters, they say, "You're okay, man, you're okay." You see, but when the difference between us and the other institutions is that we have no parameters. There are no parameters. The, the lab is your body, and we put you up against a perfect system, perfect body system, and then your body exposes what is happening with it. So we see it directly from you
At the cellular level.
at the cellular level, where it's hidden for the most part. You know, so that used to bring a lot of doubts in the minds of people. Well, oh, I went to the lab and they didn't see anything. Well, did the lab test you at the cellular level? No, they didn't. They took a sample from your blood or from your urine or whatever, and they checked that. But we are down into your cells. We're seeing it, and you're seeing it yourself. You know, so
Yep.
it, it's a tough situation when you look at, at the reality, the reality of medicine, the reality of medicine, the typical medicine, the diseased patient, and the clinic that we have. You know, there's a there's a there's a little thing happening there because when you go to the labs, they don't find a problem. But you know you're sick because you're feeling a problem. You know that there's something wrong. But you go to the lab and they say that everything is okay. Like I looked at somebody's results today from the lab and everything is fine. But yet still the person is sick. When we screened, we found all these hidden conditions that are there. But because of the parameters that are set in the labs, they're not detected until they get to a stage where it's worse. Sometimes when it's too late, you see. But all of that, all of that being said, it comes right back to the fact that we all need to be responsible for what we do to ourselves. And we need to remember that the immune system is the key factor that contributes to the healing process. Number one is your belief system. If you believe it, number two, you accept it. Number three, you make the adjustments. You don't complain, you comply. That's what I say to people now. Don't complain, just comply because now you know what is wrong. Okay, you've been sick for a while. You've done everything. You don't know. Everyone is saying to you, nothing is wrong with you. It may be psychological. It may be whatever it is. But now you know why you're sick. Comply. Follow the rules because your body lays the rules out for you to follow. You know?
Yeah. There's some patients who they come to us and they're saying, "This is what's happening to me." Um, they assign to me a psychiatrist because they think that it's all in my head. But something is happening to me that I know myself. I really know myself, and something is not right. I mean, I don't think I'm losing my mind, but this is what's happening. I want you to check them. You know, you tell them what you're seeing, and when they're seeing what they're seeing, it's like I know something is wrong. A lot of worms, tons of worms, worms in the CNS and the PNS, central nervous system. It's the most amazing thing. People,
Yeah.
you know,
Some people just don't believe that they have worms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People think that. So I'm an adult. I'm not a child. I used to have that as a child.
You're a big
I
child
said,
now. You get bigger worms. Get more. You know what? You know what I do? Sometimes I make I make them laugh because when I see when I would come across more than five different worms in persons, right? I put the number at five. If I see more than five different ones, then I assign them to I assign the middle name to them. I say like your name is Paul and your last name is John, right? I say Paul Wormy John, and they would laugh because they have that is my cue to you that you have more than five worms when your middle name becomes Wormy, you know, and it's amazing what happens to people when we help them to get rid of those parasites, those worms.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And they know, you know, especially I see worms in the rectum and I ask, especially pinworms. I said, "Don't you feel a tickling?" Yeah, I do. How you know that? I was wondering what that was. It's pinworm.
yeah,
It's right here. See here? Man,
yeah.
the thing was tickling. I thought something was. Yeah. And he's a grown man. I said, I'm grown. I can take out worms. Yeah.
They're
So
there. If
it's
you
there
eat,
and
if
they're
you
telling you.
consume the flesh, you'll have them.
Yeah. Any
Yeah.
flesh. And I told him that I'm getting pretty good at it now. I can tell what you're eating. If I see a fish tapeworm, I know you're eating fish. I
Then they
see
say, well,
worm.
but doc,
Smart.
I had no fish in a long time.
Yeah.
So you have a long worm.
A lot of them. These things they multiply. They lay eggs. Some of them 200,000 eggs.
Yeah, per day for a year.
So yeah, it's a lot of eggs. I know. And some people look very healthy
Yeah.
on the outside. When you look inside, it's a lot of things. So you know, come and get checked. Come and get checked. If you had not been dewormed since you were a child,
You need to get checked.
something is going on.
You probably have a
Something
snake
is,
in there. You
huh?
know, if you haven't been checked since you were a child and now you're an adult, you probably have a
Yeah.
snake. Probably have a few snakes crawling around in there.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. The other thing is too, you're talking about all these heavy metals. People with certain occupation is expected that certain things they need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
People that work, like for example, people working stone quarries and they're working. I don't know. I mean, I think I don't know if Guyana mine uranium, right? Do they?
If it's happening, it's happening quietly. I think it's happening though. But
Yeah.
at one time, we have 7 minutes more. Okay. If you
Oh,
if you have a call that you want to make, you can make it now because the time is really going. You can call us and
yeah,
we'll answer your questions if you have one. I know we enjoy our conversation here, and I know you're enjoying it too at home. But if you have a question about your health, you can call us quickly. We can try to help you with it. I used to
yeah.
see, I still see them, these big container trucks on the highway coming
Mm,
from somewhere up Region 10, which is Linden side, and they're enclosed. And I used to wonder what's in those trucks. I still wonder. You know, sometimes you think it's lumber. You think it's because lumber is normally on the open. The trucks are open,
right, right.
but these containers are closed,
Mm,
and I don't know what's in there. I'm going to start finding out from somebody what's in the containers.
yeah. The people know.
I think we have those metals here. I think we have uranium and we have
Yeah,
many of the other metals. I know we have a lot of gold and diamond and all of that here.
yeah. But
So
these people are susceptible, and they need to know. That's why they need to get checked to bronchogenic carcinoma and lung cancer.
yeah,
You know, you're exposed to people who work in rock quarries and work with silica, sand, and all that stuff. Cement workers and things
Yeah.
like that. So there's a lot of occupational uh, hazards and diseases that uh, people should know. If they're working with certain things, at least yearly, get a checkout. People working with asbestos too,
Well,
things like that.
we don't have much of that knowingly anymore.
Not much, but still, any if you're working with insulation
Hmm.
of any type,
Yeah.
those fibers can end up in your lungs
Well,
too.
there's fiberglass.
Exactly,
Lots of
fiberglass.
fiberglass. Yeah.
You know,
We have a lot of
if
people
people,
who do body work on vehicles and they use
uh,
fiberglass. They use the
right,
resin
and
and then they grind it, and many of them do it without mask.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
dangerous.
Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
Very
I
even
always
with the
advise
well,
them to get the mask with the canisters on them,
right,
so you can
right,
filter out, much of what is going in the air.
and the welders, they work with all sorts of metals, nickels, and things like that.
And the flux, the
Steel,
chemical from the flux.
yeah,
Yeah.
all that, cancer of the lung. You gotta watch it. People that work with rubber and other chemicals, leather and all that stuff, textile industry, you know, susceptible to transitional carcinoma of the bladder and things like that, urinary bladder. So there's a lot of
We have a lot of persons who work with cement,
yeah, yeah.
and
Get your lungs.
that dust is breathed into the lungs.
Yeah, yeah.
When you think of it, cement is something that hardens.
Hmm.
If you mix it and you add water, it hardens.
Yeah.
Moisture will harden the cement. Now, when you breathe that cement into your lungs, it's going into a moist area. And
Water.
yeah, and that cement is going to harden in there. And we've seen a lot of those guys who are in construction with problems with their lungs.
Yeah. People are working in the bauxite industry too.
Oh yeah, I talked about that I think last week.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. It used to be a very big problem at Linden.
Hmm.
It's not so bad anymore.
I mean, I remember when we were growing up. I mean, this stuff was in the air.
All the time.
You inhaling that. That was your regular diet of oxygen mixed with whatever
Dust.
other elements are in that thing.
Hmm.
Um, so there's every reason to come and get a checkup. You know, these chemical carcinogens are everywhere. We can't escape them. So it's very
Well,
important that
I'm seeing more and more active oncoviruses,
yeah,
oncology virus. I'm seeing more of those. So it's telling me that we're having issues that are beyond the norm,
yeah,
and the numbers are very low too. So persons need, they really, if you care about yourself, get a screening done, find out that, make sure that you're okay, that nothing is happening, which most likely will not be possible because none of us are perfect. We're living in an environment that has a lot of chemicals and metals and dust and all that. And at least you'll know what is wrong, and you'll be able to be guided as to what to do to prevent yourself from becoming a victim of some sort. So all we can do is put the word out there. We we love what we do, and we love the fact that we can change lives and make them better. But persons have to realize that they are responsible for making sure that they're okay or not. We can't drag you there. You have to walk or take a taxi or ride or drive. Get there. Get yourself looked at. Make sure you're okay. And if you're not, if you're in an environment where you are not okay, and you have children, then most likely the children also are not okay. You know, so
yeah, background noise.
yeah,
Yep, that's interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
it's a challenge we have because it's not easy work. It takes a lot of time, and I enjoy doing it, but sometimes it can overwhelm you. You know, when you think you're going to have an easy day, it's a patient that takes 3 hours. You know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. It could be gruesome. It could be gruesome because you've got to be focused for 3 hours, trying to explain everything, trying to, understand and help them to understand. And they're asking the questions to make sure that. I mean, look. When I look at the average facility, we might be the only facility that gives people so much time. For them to understand what is wrong and for them to take the necessary steps to overcome it. You know.
Well, and I think it's only right for them though, because sometimes and most times they're coming from other institutions. They're coming from they've been
Yeah.
so many different places, and they come in loaded with information that
Yeah.
was given to them,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and you got to decipher all of that, and then go through all of that, and then show them exactly where the problem really lies. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, you think it ends in the clinic. It doesn't end there, because many nights when I leave and I finish my work at the clinic, I'm getting the phone calls. I go through my mail and I'm seeing the emails that someone recommended that they contact us because they have this issue, or they don't know what to do, and it happens all the time. It's nonstop,
Yeah,
never ending nonstop. So,
and we usually get patients that have gone everywhere.
oh yeah, that's normal. That's routine
Yeah,
now. We get, this is the last stop.
yeah,
You know, you have to figure it out. You have to help me now because I've gone all over. I ain't get no help. So when they come and
yeah.
they put that burden on you, you feel like,
You know, it's a good challenge. I really enjoy it, to be honest with you, because it opens up for me uh, parts of my brain that, you know, and allow me to really, because especially if they come in with a lot of a lot of physicians' advices and treatment protocols and
yeah.
tests and all.
But we do our
It,
best. We like what we do. We do our best. And Dr. Richard, time is up. I just
oh
looked at
wow,
I just looked at the time when I got the message, and it's a time for us to leave. Even though we started late, they didn't give us back the time, but it's okay. We get it back some other
right?
time. But I hope that we were able to help uh, persons today. We don't know how many, because this is pretty much a viewership situation. We know that there are persons online that are listening and are watching. We hope we're able to help you with something. And don't be afraid if you have a question. You can always go online there and healthandwellnesscentergy.com. You can email us there, or you can call the clinic at the 231-6477 number, and we'd be glad to try to assist you in whatever way possible. So, Dr. Richard, thanks for your involvement. Thanks for your time. Thanks for being there
Thank you.
to continue to save lives, man.
Thank you for the invite, and like you. I love what I'm doing, and I thank God for the blessings and the privilege of being able to do so.
And you on the other side of the world.
Yeah, on the other side of the world. Who knows where I'm going to be next month?
Yeah, who knows? Who knows where we're going to be? I think this is next month is July. I know I'm probably going to be in Trinidad a little bit, and then
Yeah,
Jamaica, and then Florida, then New York.
yeah.
That's
People
that's
want
the
us to go all over the place.
that's the schedule. They're trying to get me to go other places, but I'm only one human. You need to start going places, Dr. Richard. Start going
Yeah,
to
that's
some
what I
other
was told.
places.
That's what I was told. And I'm tired of traveling, but it's all right.
Especially when you read what happens with Air India.
All that, yeah.
It's really sad. Really
I
sad.
wish we had a boat. If we had a boat, maybe get a yacht. You know,
Be better.
and move. Heck,
You pull up on the pier and everybody come there, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
service. That used to be the old way of
You know, I prefer to take my chances on the water, but than in the air. You know.
really.
Yeah, I prefer the water because I can wear a life jacket and hopefully somebody will see me floating somewhere. You know, at least I'll be on the water. When you go in the
Yeah,
air, something happened there, your chances are almost nil.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you can go on board with a parachute.
yeah. Anyhow,
Come on.
the guys are probably waiting to sign us off. So I want to thank you for your participation. Participation for those who were watching. Thank you for tuning in, and we want to wish you a very pleasant weekend and very good night. And just do the right thing. Don't complain, comply, because when you comply, you get the results. All right. Dr. Haynes saying good night. God bless you. Thanks for watching. Dr. Richard, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thanks to the guys in
Thank
the
you.
studio. Appreciate everything. Good night. So long.
All right.